It's Tomyris time, and we're going to be talking about all of the recent talks about her. Because yes, it's been a few days since she has been launched, but a lot of people have been testing the Marshal Pikemen and the Marshal Cavalry lineups for this hero. And to be honest, she's been quite impressive. And for a kind of low budget hero to get, it's been pretty rewarding, right? Let's just say that. And we're going to be kind of explaining that in today's video. I'm going to explain what skills people are running on her at the moment, and even what I think are going to be the best skills that you're going to be running for Marshal Pikemen and Marshal Cavalry, because both of the skills are completely different, right? You're going to be running completely different lineups depending on her role in your formation. So smash like, comment, and subscribe, and let's dive in to today's video. So before we dive into all of obviously the different lineups you're going to be running in, let me just do a quick rundown of her skills and the stars, because that is very important with this hero, right? Her commander skill. Commander skill is when she is in obviously the first slot of your formation. She's going to be dealing might damage to a single enemy troop, but she is increasing the might damage dealt by your other two heroes. This is a very powerful skill, being only 250 rage, meaning it is going to cycle more often, keeping its uptime pretty high up there, allowing your two other commanders to do more damage. Now, let's talk about this first, because before we dive in, you can imagine Tomyris isn't going to be a Marshal Cavalry leader, and hear me out. I know it sounds cool, but it just isn't what she's there for. This skill is honestly more tailored towards the Marshal Pikemen, because no matter what, you could be running a Julius Caesar and Octavian, and they're going to be dealing more damage, which is really, really good. Even if you ran something like a Julius Caesar and Ramcam, or let's just say Ramcam and Octavian with that, right? You can just run any sort of combination. Those heroes are going to be dealing a lot of damage, so this being a commander skill for that makes more sense. So when you're looking at Tomyris, look at this skill in a more of a Marshal Pikeman lens. It doesn't really fit the Marshal Cavalry at the moment, right? But now, in light of Mithra, this skill is very powerful because it's a turn-based skill, meaning on her first turn, it's going to be triggering, and you're going to be reducing your troop damage taken and increasing the might damage of other heroes for 3 seconds. This triggers every 9 seconds afterwards, which is very, very good. Now, this is where things are very important, and why we have to talk about our skills and star levels in conjunction together, because when you look at Light of Mithra, the bottom line is very good. Every 3 times your commander uses a skill, it increases damage taken by the enemy troops. What this means is whoever you have in that primary slot, that first slot in your formation, anytime they're going to be using a secondary strike skill, they're going to be using their active skill, as you can see, or turn-based skills, right? They're going to be triggering this. If it's a passive or commander skill, it's not going to work, right? So very important, because that's going to allow her to combo with certain commanders. And I'm making this more of an emphasis because when you look at her star ranking, her 1 star is okay. It's nothing crazy. It's just reducing the troop damage taken by an additional 4%. We will be happy with that because troop damage reduction is currently king in survivability compared to recovery. But then when you get to the 3 star, you're increasing the extra boost on damage, which is really nice. But the 5 star is what makes this hero really good. Honestly, the 5 star. Every 2 times your commander uses that skill, you're going to be triggering the effect again. And additionally, enemy troops take an additional 5%. So from here and here, that's 10% extra they're going to be taking compared to normal. And now it's more often because it's every 2 and not every 3. This is very, very key when it comes to this power of this commander, because when you have all of that added up, her skill is very good, reducing your troops damage taken by 10% and increasing the might damage of your other heroes by 10% is very good. Increasing the damage taken by enemy troops by 11%. What the hell? And this is triggering every 2 times. It's a very good support hero, right? And this skill is going to work with both Marshal Pikemen and Marshal Cavalry. We're going to explain the Marshal Pikemen first because I'm a little bit more comfortable myself, but then we'll go down the Marshal Cavalry route as well, right? So when it comes to the Marshal Pikemen lineups, no matter what, if you're going to be running the damage-based runs, what people are running is Tomyris primary with their Julius Caesar and their Octavian. It is a little bit controversial, and the only reason this is controversial is because Julius Caesar's commander skill. Do you want to sacrifice the area of effect of your Julius Caesar, who also increases all heroes' damage by 30%, for a bigger buff to him and to the Octavian, but only dealing a single target damage from Tomyris? That is the big discussion, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below right now. Do you prefer running the area of effect, because it is a massive amount of damage from Julius Caesar primary, or would you prefer the, obviously, Tomyris primary? Either one, I actually do think is pretty good, and they're going to be pretty close in terms of each other. Obviously, Julius Caesar better in swarming conditions because it's hitting multiple enemies, while you can imagine the good old Tomyris is a lot more better in 1v1 scenarios and stuff. So if you're using it in specific game modes like Battle of Dawn, maybe like Wonder Contest, and you're defending certain objectives very far out of the map and it is just you on your own, it might make a little bit more sense to run her primary. So I think both have their role, primary commander, but it is going to be this trifecta no matter what as your damage pikeman march. And if you're running this no matter what in any Marshal Pikemen lineup currently, the safest build, honestly, and the most stable build is when you go to your more skills, you're going to be equipping tenacity with Peaceful Haven. This combo is just too good with her because obviously she's already increasing the amount of damage the enemy are taking, making obviously your damage dealers do a truck ton of damage. She's already reducing troop damage taken, which is great. And now with Peaceful Haven, you're adding even more of that on top, which is really great. And what's really cool about the combo is Tenacity recovering troops as a turn-based skill. This is going to allow you to trigger this turn 1, which means Peaceful Haven has that chance to trigger because it's a 100% activation chance. It just waits for a time of your healing. So as soon as this triggers, this is triggering too. It's a perfect synergy in tanking, right? And it allows the Marshal Pikemen Tomyris to actually do her job as a support. And that's what a lot of people need to realize. She isn't going to be trying to be a damage dealer in the Pikemen lineups. She's there to support you, right? So having Tenacity, and when you look at this skill at max rank, you do get 325% recovery rate, and Peaceful Haven gives you a 20% reduction for 3 seconds. This is no laughing matter. This is super tankiness from this one commander, and she's enabling you to actually deal more damage with your turn-based skills. Now, the alternate build that you can run for her is Ramcam, and you can run Ramcam again with your Octavian and then your Tomyris, and this is going to work really, really well together. You can run Tomyris in the primary slot, but I would not recommend that. The reason why I'm not going to recommend that is because Ramcam in this lineup is designed to be another support. And it sounds a bit crazy, but in this lineup, we're going to be running Ramcam again with Valorama here. But we're going to change these skills, which sounds crazy to a lot of people. But we're going to be running again Tenacity and Peaceful Haven. And the reason why we're running the same combo with Ramcam is Ramcam with Tomyris and having that Octavian in the middle with damage-based skills like his Whirlwind Sweep and Triple Offensive, or even Kingsblade and Triple Offensive, right, is going to allow him to deal a truck ton of damage, but Ramcam then has his own job fulfilled. Your job with the Ramcam March and Tomyris and Octavian is to buff everyone. You're trying to survive out there as long as possible to just honestly buff T7 marchers. You're giving them extra damage. You're healing 25% of the damage they took during that period, and you're increasing all of their main attributes in PvP battles. It is just nuts, right? So this is a more support-based lineup. Just remind yourselves of that. If you want to run Ramcam, Octavian, Tomyris, the reason why I'm saying you want to run, obviously, Tenacity, Peaceful Haven, Ramcam is the same reason as Tomyris. We're trying to make them to support and just be super tanks, while our Octavian deals damage, but the march together is going to be support. It's there to try and sustain and just survive as long as it can to boost up everyone else. If you want a more damage-based march, go with the Julius Caesar. It will make more sense to you, and you want it to do that job, right? So that's the Marshal Pikemen out there. When it comes to the ring choices, I'm just going to run down really quickly. It always is going to be a Sacred Sage option, right? Sacred Sage is always going to be the option, and if you can run Lofty Mountain in the end game with Tranquil Water, is always going to be the best route. However, you may not have, obviously, all this, coins to get both rings, right? Let's just be real. There's a lot of money to get. So if you don't have that, the alternate choices of Tranquil Water and Lofty Mountain, because you do need Sacred Sage, guys. No matter what, it's the must-have ring for the Marshal Pikemen lineups, right? For this, I would recommend either running stuff like Ring of the Falcon. This is going to grant you recovery and reduce your troop damage taken as well. So it's giving you more survivability, and you would put this on either of your support commanders that's not running a Sacred Sage. Then you could run also down here, you could do some funky stuff like Ring of the Crow just to steal might from the enemy, allowing you to again trade a bit more positive. But really good actual choices is Ring of the Badger. Ring of the Badger is a really good choice for Marshal Pikemen, especially as a support ring instead of the Lofty Mountain, because this, for the first 18 seconds, is stopping basically Lubus and those Mulans and everyone else like El Cid and even Hannibal from dealing as much damage to you. So if you're going to be out there as a Marshal Pikeman and your job is to hunt cavalry, which it should be, this is going to be your bread and butter. You're going to absolutely love this skill because it's just going to stop them from dealing any damage to you, and you're going to kill them even quicker with your unit advantage on them. As well, just to give a little bit of love to the blue rings, there is 2 blue rings you would definitely choose, which is Ring of the Lily, a really good cheap alternate choice for recovery rate if you want to run that as a stepping stone ring, or your Ring of the Clover, a really good again ring to run on this march. Again, reducing troop reduction and damage taken is very, very powerful, so you can have this ring and the other blue ring until you get maybe an epic, and then work towards those legendary rings that we discussed of Sacred Sage, Lofty Mountain, and your good old Tranquil Water, right? So we've gone down that route, we've explained that now. Now let's go into the fun bit, which is Marshal Cavalry, because Marshal Cavalry is a lot more different, because in this lineup, you are going to be running a El Cid primary with our brand new commander, Saladin and Tomyris. And yes, this works really well together, because in this lineup, like I said, Marshal Cavalry really don't want Tomyris in the primary slot. They'd just rather take advantage of her skills and let a real DPS hero do the work. And that's what you're kind of going to be doing with El Cid. Tomyris and Saladin in this combination is going to make El Cid honestly work. His big mistake and the big issue with El Cid has always been trying to get this Anthem of the Night activated as soon as possible, because sooner you get this triggered, well, patriotism is going to be even more deadlier, doing that double instance of damage basically of 224% is no laughing matter, especially when you have this hero 5-starred, and it increases it an additional 85% on both of those damage numbers. It is a lot of damage. It is a truck ton of damage, but you need this skill online, right? You need this skill online. So when it comes to Tomyris in the Marshal Cavalry lineup, what we're going to be running is going to be obviously Light of Mithra. It's going to be your main skill, but you have 2 options. This is going to be a more budget build first, but then it's going to be the main build, the main bread and butter build. The budget build is going to be Armor Piercer and Roar of Victory, no matter what. This means if you're just going to try and unlock one legendary skill only, I would honestly unlock the Roar of Victory skill. And hear me out. The rage is super important for your El Cid to work. And yes, our Saladin will generate a ton of rage, but having that consistency is more important for your march. With Armor Piercer, it is just going to allow you to reduce all enemies' heroes' armor. It's a very good supportive ability, allowing that El Cid again to just hit even harder for your march. That's why I'm going to say this is the budget build, because the true build, as you guys know, and this is if you're going to be running Tomyris, my recommendation, Rending Covenant and Roaring Victory, it's no doubt. You need to be running both of these combos to get the full power, the full effect of that Tomyris Marshal Cavalry unit. Because every time you are now performing 2 normal attacks on the commanders, guess what? You're entering the double attack state for your main commander. That is crazy good. So good, because it's allowing that El Cid to have a free double attack state out no matter what, and we like that. Allowing him to have more consistency in putting out damage is really powerful. And each time that El Cid activates one of his secondary strike skills, guess what? The main target is getting even more damage taken onto them, so they do even more damage. So even already El Cid, who pops you like a bug, is going to hit you even harder. And that's what's so good about Rending Covenant with the Roar of Victory combo, because it just works with Marshal Cavalry perfectly, right? So that's going to be the way you're going to run that Tomyris for that lineup. And then with the Saladin, I would recommend Saladin with Fervor, which is an epic skill, but this does generate the most rage out of the 2 rage skills that you can choose on the epic level. And for the one skill that you actually need to replace, which would be the Enraged Strike, you would put Roar of Victory on. So Roar of Victory with the Fervor and his main skill generates so much rage, and having that second Roar of Victory with Tomyris just adds the consistency which we were talking about to allow that El Cid to do damage, to do a truck ton of damage. And what's really cool about this now, which a lot of people I think are now learning from this video, is you have enough rage. Tomyris and Saladin will give you enough rage for the El Cid. What this means is El Cid can actually run a different skill for once. We can be running a weak spot attack combo with double attack, because this allows us to have 2 instances now of entering a double attack state and allowing our El Cid to actually deal the damage that we've been wanting him to deal, because we've got the payoff. We've got the rage generation from Saladin and Tomyris. Now we need him to actually deal it, right? So with the double attack state from his skill and the double attack state from Rending Covenant of that Tomyris, it should work beautifully for you guys and allow your good old El Cid to actually do some good damage out there for ones in the open field. And it's really nice to see that, to be honest, Tomyris has fulfilled the Marshal Pikemen and the Marshal Cavalry slot in a different way, right? Being a commander mainly for the pikemen has been a really cool concept, but more of a support role in position 2 or 3 for the Marshal Cavs, right? So to finish it off, we're going to obviously talk about some ring choices. I would say if you really want to take advantage of this build, you do want to run Radiant Guardian. Radiant Guardian on that El Cid gives you your 3rd actual double attack chance of obviously entering it, which is really good for this build. And then when it comes to the other 2 rings, I wouldn't recommend stuff like even Ring of the Bear. Really good options out there. You could be even running stuff like Tranquil Water, again, really good option for the Saladin or for the Tomyris. Falcon, really good option again for both of them, and even the blue rings, Ring of the Clover and Ring of the Lily. What you'll notice is I really like running at least 1 tanking, 1 survivability ring. If it's Tranquil, Lofty Mountain, Ring of the Clover, Falcon, you name it, right? If it's one of those rings you own, put it on the march, right? Because it's going to help it B, the other marchers it's against that haven't gone down that route because they've gone all damage and your 20% just cuts them so hard that they're just honestly doing less damage than you are, which is very fun to see, right? So that's going to be all the rings. We've gone over now Tomyris. We've talked about her skills. We've talked about the combinations with Marshal Pikemen, Marshal Cavalry. We've gone over it, right? We've gone and given you all the findings, basically, what people have been talking about the last few days. And let me know what you think to it now in the comment section down below, because honestly this has been a really fun video. I like to see the community coming together and just honestly giving each other the information that they've been giving in to honestly find out if Tomyris is any good or any not. If you want my final take on it, I do think Tomyris is a hero that 5-star might be a must, right? Because the every 2 times does transform this hero massively with her skill, obviously increasing the damage you deal to them and the damage reduction you have. Really good skills too, but this is the real game changer for her. So 5-star looks like the way to go, right? Are you going to go for a 5-star Tomyris? That's your choice, right? That is your choice at the end of the day. I cannot make that decision for you. But hopefully now with this video, with all the information I've been able to give you guys for both lineups, you can make a more informed decision and check her out. And if you've been using Tomyris, let me know how much you've been enjoying her down in the comment section down below. Share the video about and smash a like if you've found it pretty informative. And obviously hit the subscribe button. Loads of you are not subscribed. Over 70% of you that watch my content are just not subscribe, so why not just hit the sub button? I post daily videos for Age of Empires Mobile, so you will get that notification and it'll pop up on your homepage, so you'll know when it's there, right? And you don't have to search for it. So until the next one, guys, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.